WTH News coming at you live from Otter Creek, where the planet wants to know, is Don the Con still on the town council? The last town council, Don the Con got up, walked out, removed himself. Now, this is not the first time he's done that. He's done this many times, and it's all been videoed. So the planet wants to know, does this mean he is on the town council or he isn't on the town council? We're going to get to that question and that answer. But first, we've got a whole lot more questions. There's just a ton. So we're going to do the best we can to get to them all. The Are We There Yet Meemaw, or Are We There Yet? I love what they're doing with the name there. Has the question, why wouldn't the town council or the town just make Zim the mayor and elect a new vice mayor? Just not Laura Mott or Don the Con. They both don't have what it takes, it seems. Well, the answer is very simple. The process that they have is to have the residents elect the members for town council, and then those who get elected then elect who is going to be the mayor. That changes every single year, as you have 3 get elected in, 2 get elected in, 3 get elected in, 2 get elected in. That's their process. Now, it could change with updates to the charter, and there is many things in the charter that's illegal, and it absolutely legally needs to be updated. But that portion isn't illegal, and it hasn't been updated yet, so that's still the process. And quite frankly, really, that's what happened, is because Zim got nominated the mayor, and then Carl got nominated and received the vice mayorship. As I've already mentioned, there's a large portion of the town charter that is illegal. So when you have town laws and county laws and state laws and federal laws, the town resolutions, ordinances, charter, whatever, can't go against county, can't go against state, can't go against federal. Okay, you understand there's a hierarchy there. And most of what is in the town charter for Otter Creek, it goes against laws that they must mandate, they must legally follow, but they don't. The charter is completely and totally illegal. And so Paul Douglas says, ask if the new members have any intent on actually doing a little review and update the city constitution if they intend to actually remain a town. Now, we've already heard from the lawyer Megan, and she's being paid from the town's members to give us this wise counsel. This thing needs a major overhaul. It needs updated, to which last time, that's when Don the Con said, so does the Bible. Now, let me clarify. The Bible is a constant. It doesn't change. And that's the great thing about our Creator God. He is a constant. He doesn't change. He's always loving. He's always caring. But there's always just as well. So we're comparing, in Don's mind, the Bible to the town charter. There is no comparison. Laws change in our land because the United States changes constantly. My goodness, look at culture today compared to the 1950s. And we all know there's laws on the books where you sit there and you go, oh my goodness, why in the world is that still on the books? For example, in Ohio, I believe it is still illegal to trap mice. And yet you can go in almost any store and buy mouse traps. So it gets ignored. Can it be enforced? I suppose if it's on the books, it can be enforced. Somebody could be arrested. Somebody could be fined. Somebody could be jailed. But would it happen? You got to be careful with all these legalities because it's always changing, which is why Megan is paid the big bucks. Why they're paying for her knowledge. That Don the Con specifically, that Russ the Sus specifically, would not have any other lawyer but her. And now what are they calling her? A criminal. So she's already made it clear this whole thing needs a massive overhaul. But that takes a massive amount of money. Denise Vunk's got a lot of questions, and I'm going to try and tackle them the best I can. Remember, I don't have all the answers. Number 1, is Belinda the clerk? So yes, Belinda is the town clerk. And in many towns, villages, cities, you name it, the clerk is actually the town manager. They run the day-to-day. They know what's going on. So For example, you had Madam Mayor Therese, you have Zim. They're not on the phone. They're not in communication with all the things that are going on. That clerk is the one that typically knows exactly what's going on. Think of it as we think of our friends overseas. We've got the parliament, we've got king and queen, right? But then we also have, what's that position called? Prime Minister. Who does the real work? The Prime Minister, right? Now, the mayorship has authority here in Otter Creek, but the real work is done by the Prime Minister, Belinda, and she knows all the details and what's going in and out every single day. So think of it that way, and that's the way most things are ran in most areas. Doesn't mean it's right, doesn't mean it's wrong. I'm just saying that's the way it is over here, okay? Number two, aren't there any laws on the books that it's illegal to have all that crap garbage? Call the state Department of Health. She's worried about her baby with a life-threatening metabolic disorder getting sick from one of the residents? ? Okay, so the answer is yes. In the town charter, it's illegal what she's doing and what Don the Con is doing and Russ the Sus is doing. All the garbage everywhere. But they don't have the money to pay for somebody to enforce it. County law, it's illegal. The county here in Levy County actually has a code enforcer. Now, I've been in many conversations with him, and he's been in many conversations with my lawyer. And he's been very clear to my lawyer, I know exactly who you represent and why. And they refuse to do anything, saying they have no jurisdiction over Otter Creek because Otter Creek is incorporated. If Otter Creek gets unincorporated, all of a sudden, Don the Con, LIEnette and John, Crook, Russ the Sus, these individuals are immediately going to be fined and liened and everything else if they don't clean up their property. So that's one of the reasons they want to hold on to that incorporation. This town used to be amazing. It was beautiful. It was clean. Actually, Gail, our neighbor, was showing us pictures of one of the old houses in the historic district, and you would never believe what it used to be, the pristine beauty of it compared to what it is today. And it's just mind-blowing. So yes, there are laws, and yes, they are supposed to keep everything clean. And yes, it's absolutely ridiculous that somebody claims life-threatening, and yet they live in a life-threatening environment on a daily basis. Jonah Borowski wants to know, why isn't there a gas station in Otter Creek? Well, Jonah, with any business, you have to have a business plan. For example, what used to be Walmart's plan is they would put a Walmart smack dab in the middle where there was 50,000 residents that could easily access their Walmart. I forget in how many minutes it was. And their plan probably has changed. This is what I knew from like 15 years ago. You know, there's a business plan. For example, when I buy rental properties, I have a business plan. I don't do low-income housing. I don't do high-end housing. I do middle housing because what I want is professors. I want doctors. I want teachers. I want nurses. And so what I do is I look for a home roughly within 1 to 2 miles away from colleges, universities, hospitals. Do you understand? That's a business plan. And what happens then is I rent out that property to individuals that have families, they're stable, and they constantly pay. And guess what I have to do? Nothing. I collect a check once a month. They're happy, they have a home, I'm happy, I'm getting paid for that home, and everybody's happy. That's part of a business plan. So let's talk about a business plan in Otter Creek with a gas station. Would it work? Sure. It has in the past. The old post office was a gas station. Herschel's General Store on the corner was a gas station. There was gas on the other side at the post office. Guess what? They destroyed this town. Understand Levy County, right? Otter Creek smack dab in the middle. As a matter of fact, my property here is smack dab in the middle of the entire county, okay? Literally, if you look at the county, the ranch is the middle of the entire county. Like if you needed to service the entire county, the county should be coming to me and saying, we want that 70 acres. We want to do all of our operation right there because we can get to everywhere else. This is another business plan. I can get to everywhere, no problem, same amount of time where we need to be. But it's not for sale unless Walmart comes a knocking. But that's a video for tomorrow. So That being said, you've got to have the people to actually purchase the item. So business, you either sell a physical item or you sell a service. That's really business in a nutshell. You're selling an item or you're selling a service. The item would be gas. The service could be, I'm going to come out and I'm going to wash your windows for you. And are there enough people in Otter Creek for that? Well, there's less than 100 people, adults, and vast majority of them are, frankly, they're on rugs. They're rug addicts. So do you want to open up a business where rug addicts are going to try and break into your business? Probably not the best idea, but that could happen anywhere, especially in Florida. Do you want your business where there's only a populace around within 5 minutes of less than 100 people? That doesn't seem like a thriving business, especially if you're going to have to no trespass a lot of them. So gas stations have been here when this was the most populated town in Levy County. But they've destroyed this town. And by they, I mean Don the Con, Russ the Sus, Mary, and now LIEnette and Crook. Not that this was ever their town to begin with. All they did was stalk me here. Faith Walk wants to know, was Russ the Sus paid for all of these meetings that he walked out on? Well, as your local citizen journalist here at WTH News, we tried to dig and get all of the truth, and yet some of it we just don't know. I have not asked, nor have been told, nor has it even occurred to me, did Russ the Sus get paid? Now, one of the things we have talked about is payments after the meeting. If they take the money and then walk out of the meeting, what did they get paid for? By the residents of Otter Creek. Remember, that's the residents' money. They are, in my opinion, they are stealing from the residents of Otter Creek. If they are showing up, taking the money, then walking out and not doing the duty that they have actually been elected for. But keep in mind, all of these new members were not actually elected, even though they were. All these new members, they put in Form 6 and they stated, I want to be a part of the town council. Now, there was no election needed because they all ran unopposed. You can't elect somebody who doesn't have an opposing person to potentially elect. So, for example, if there's one spot, What the Hales, president of What the Hales News, and Jeremy is the only one that puts his name in, and I win by default because I'm the only person that put my name in, there's no election. Now, if George puts her name in, but there's only one spot, and Jeremy puts his name in, and there's only one spot, now there has to be an election because there's 2 people, 1 spot. There were 4 seats, 4 people, no election needed. They were just all automatically seated. This is a question for the new president just elected of What the Hales News. When will George be with you at Hales headquarters? Well, let's find out from the president.
We're here at the ranch together. Does that answer your question? Actually, I do have upcoming doctor's appointments and some family get-togethers, so I will be up in Ohio. Whether I have time to go to Hales headquarters, not sure. But I actually enjoy working here in Florida because we have the schoolhouse over Hales headquarters. Sounds weird, but it's a personal preference for me.
So, in regards to that question, there are other things in motion that we don't share with you that is part of a plan. It's part of a process. Remember, this whole entire thing is a chess game. And really, that's the aspect of outsmarting, outwitting, outplaying. And so there are things that we are not going to reveal. And frankly, there are other things. I mean, if you can fathom everything that we've been through in Otter Creek, there are things we will never reveal. It's just not going to happen. We're never going to show that card. But at the other end of it, there are things we reveal that have nothing to do with anything, but you are, like in poker, you're calling a bluff. Now, the reality is, they don't know what is the bluff and what isn't. And that's what makes it so fun. Dominic wants to know, what are they going to do to bring income back to Otter Creek? Well, Dominic, I think the first thing that is a positive part of it is you saw Vice Mayor Zim and other council members talking about, hey, let's do a fall festival. Now, last year, Carl, our new vice mayor, spearheaded with Deanna, Flippin' Adventures, the community event at the schoolhouse. Now, how great would this be if we don't even need the schoolhouse? Because by then, I probably won't have my Second Amendment rights back yet. And without Second Amendment rights, and without being able to hire private security, because there are so many crazy people out there, none that have been as crazy as LIEnette and Crook to actually stalk me here and then harass me and then defame me and then the list goes on and on. But there are just too many psychotic people out there. And frankly, they would love... Well, let's just stop right there. Without security, it ain't going to happen on the property, okay? And so it would be an incredible thing for Otter Creek to have its own festival, because I know people like you, Dominic, you want to come here. You want to support the people, you want to support the town, and you want to see it grow in a positive direction. So a festival that could generate income, no doubt. You bring vendors in, you have a ton of fun, and what you're communicating is families matter. This is wholesome. We want families here. Christmas in the Creek was another great thing. Did it generate income? Not at all. Not physical income, but it was deposits into the town, telling people outside of the town, Otter Creek cares, and Otter Creek wants you here, and Otter Creek will help you as a family be successful here. And so those are great deposits within this bank, which will pay dividends, because truly for Otter Creek to survive, you've got to bring in business, you've got to bring in family. Now, I have other business ideas, and I'm sure you probably have thought of that already. Okay, this guy's a business guy. When he's not 99% of the time joking and cracking dad jokes and the whole deal, Jeremy is actually a businessman. And that's true. I am. I'm a businessman. And frankly, some of the jokes, all of the jokes, that's part of business. It is a business structure. And so I've got other business ideas, things that I want to accomplish, things that I want to do here as well. But I'm not willing to share all that yet. William Beasy says, when are they going to quit riding the dead horse and just unincorporate? William, you ask a great question. And one of the things that happened in that meeting is my neighbor Gail, previous council member, who has stated now that publicly to individuals that she would actually join the council again now that Russ the Sus is gone. So that's what pushed her away. Now she's publicly stated she wouldn't mind joining again. And even in that meeting, we didn't show this, whether it was on camera or off camera. We don't show absolutely everything. Sometimes the camera's just running and it's dead air, and sometimes something happens but it's not relevant to the actual story. But this is relevant to your question. Gail actually said, she's like, how do we get this mess unincorporated? Because she was talking about the county won't come in and fix her road and her driveway. And they're responsible for it, but they won't come in and do it. Why? Because we are incorporated. So if we unincorporate, taxes go down and then services go up. I mean, this is the biggest no-brainer in the world. Our taxes go down, and then the county has to provide all the services. So they have to take care of Gail's issue. And Gail even mentioned, she said, hey, I will go around with a petition right now, door to door, and I will get 50 signatures, and let's get out of this mess, which it is. It's a mess. Understanding, there are people who love Otter Creek. I love Otter Creek. Otter Creek isn't whether you are incorporated or unincorporated. Listen, the only thing that happens if they unincorporate, county comes in, provides services. That means code enforcement, which it's drastically needed. If families are going to come and know this place is safe, if businesses are going to come and go, yeah, my business is safe. Code enforcement is an absolute if Otter Creek is going to grow and actually do something with itself instead of continuing to strangle itself to death. So she wants it unincorporated. I think it's the smartest thing in the world. The residents, I think, just have fear out of the unknown instead of thinking through the process. Oh, wait, I save money and the county has to take care of things? Yes! And then there are others on the other side, and not residents in Otter Creek because they know how things work in Levy County. It's people outside of Levy County go, oh, well, then the county is going to jack up all of your taxes. No, they can't legally do that. It's going to be the exact same as it is for everybody else in every other area, period. So the time is now. Whether it actually happens or not, I have nothing to do with that. I just go and report the news as it happens and where it happens. Sandra wants to know about those jobs, such as the code enforcement, dog catcher. When will the jobs that now have to be taken care of by Otter Creek, like code enforcement, dog catcher, etc., going to be filled? And how much will they be paid? And will there be enough money to pay them? Well, let's start with the money aspect. No. There is never going to be enough money to actually pay these individuals, even though legally they must be provided. That's a huge issue, right? So you would think that the state would come in and just go, you guys can't be self-sufficient, therefore you're not going to be allowed to be incorporated. Now, understanding that if you unincorporate, Otter Creek could get better. Otter Creek could be incredible. Otter Creek could become the central hub of peace and tranquility and generosity and family living in Levy County again, without the corruption. And then it would be smart, hey, we should maybe incorporate again. Just because you unincorporate doesn't mean you can't incorporate later down the road. So right now, there's no way there's money for these things, which is very sus to me, that Levy County, the county, which has 2 Meeks on the board and has some other interesting individuals that we're going to dig into further. For example, the husband of the lead children's services investigator. Wonder why nothing's happening with LIEnette and Crook? We'll get to that. That's a whole nother video coming. Tons of immoral corruption going on here, without a doubt. And so, why wouldn't Levy County go, okay, well, we'll spot you with our code enforcer, or hey, we're going to help you with dog catching? Nope, they don't do it with the game warden, whatever. Yeah, they don't do anything. As a matter of fact, Levy County has told Otter Creek, we want nothing to do with you. And isn't that interesting that Russ the Sus, trying to control all of Otter Creek, Russ's son is on the county commissioner, and Russ's, is that his cousin? Is John his cousin? Cousin is a county commissioner, and all of a sudden these guys are telling Russ the Sus, we want nothing to do with you. He's fighting for complete and total control over everything. Russ the Sus is. There's something going on. You've got to be a complete and total fool not to understand that there are conversations and things going behind the scenes, which is why we as journalists, we need to come up with the information. We need it. But there's no way Otter Creek is in a position to bring these positions on, pay these positions, but they need it if they're going to continue to move forward. In response to that, Ed G says, well, can't the code enforcement position, can't that just be volunteer? And that might clean the place up and not add additional expenditures. Well, if it was volunteered, number one, they can impose fines, and then if people don't pay the fines, that they can put liens on the property and the homes. So that would increase income for Otter Creek. Now, I know what you're thinking. I know some people in Otter Creek that already have fines. LIEnette has a $50 fine. Crook has a $100 fine. And what if they don't pay those fines to the state of Ohio? Well, we're going to get to that, I promise, and it's pretty severe. They can be imprisoned for not paying the fine, but we'll get to that in another video. So here in Otter Creek with code enforcement, I honestly don't know if it can be a volunteer position. As a matter of fact, in my mind, it should be pretty easy. Why not just the council? The council itself is the code enforcement. Now, it may be that they need special training. For example, I don't know everything that a code enforcement officer does, okay? There could be training. There could be specialties to this. But it seems pretty simple to me that it's not building inspections. It's not, it is literally your yard is not cared for. You have garbage everywhere. There is a free dump. Why are you not utilizing it? You have this much time to clean up all this trash. If you don't, you will be fined this much money. If you don't pay the money, we will send out individuals and then we will bill you for picking up all of your garbage. So this is a safe environment. Now, you are thinking on the other side, but it's all their property. Jeremy, this is 75 acres is your property. You can do whatever you want on your property. Of course I can. Within the law. And if you don't like it, if you want to live in trash, make sure, number one, you don't live inside of an incorporated town that has laws against it, a county against it, right? Okay, pretty self-explanatory. If you want to get around it, here's another thing you do. You go buy acreage and you hide it back in the woods. I could have trash hidden out here anywhere, but I don't. I've literally spent I don't even know how many years now, 3.5 years, 4 years, something like that, cleaning up other people's garbage. They dumped trash everywhere. I have cleaned up so much garbage at this ranch. I've cleaned up garbage at the church property. I've cleaned up garbage at the schoolhouse constantly, just garbage everywhere. At times, I feel like I am a professional garbage man. And that might be because of storage units, but literally, there's just trash everywhere. If it could be volunteer, that would be fantastic because it would save the town money and it would make the town money. Silver Auntie writes a long comment and it's got a couple questions in here, and I'm going to get down right to the questions. So she's talking about Russ the Sus, and then she goes, why didn't Russ the Sus fill out the appropriate forms in order to qualify for a seat on the town council? I'm going to answer that one first, because then she goes on to another question. Okay, so Madam Mayor sells with her husband Shady Oaks Campground. Okay, that in itself is a life transition. They had a dream of traveling all over the United States in the RV life, which they're currently doing, and they're having the time of their life. And I'm so thrilled and so proud of them for stepping out, taking that leap of faith. There are many people who dream about it, but would never actually take the steps to do it, and they are. And so I'm proud of them for getting out of Otter Creek. Frankly, it's too stressful here anyway. Why would they want to be here, right?
Form 6 was a blessing and a curse.
So the next thing that happens is Form 6, which actually happens beforehand. So Form 6, all of a sudden you got to share all your private and personal information, all your financial history, the whole deal, which I would never, ever fill out, okay? There's enough people trying to figure out other things about me that they'll never figure out in the first place, constantly online trying to figure out how much I'm worth, constantly creating foot pictures of me and trying to sell them on the internet. I mean, just the absolute ridiculousness of it. I would never put everything out there that I own. So Form 6 pushes forward in the aspect of selling the property and them going out and living their retired life. Much like COVID and cancer pushed forward where I went, yeah, we're going to Florida and we're buying property. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, I had talked about buying Florida property from the very moment I met George. Literally day one, sitting down, hey, what are your goals? Oh, I'd like to actually winter in Florida. And she goes, yeah, me too. And it was one of those things where, like, yeah, we want to do that someday. But someday you can never see it in the future, right? But the point is that COVID happened, cancer happened, and we're going, why isn't today the day? Why have we not done this yet? Why are we being so foolish when we could actually do this and we're not? What's stopping us? And for most people, that's fear, right? It's fear. And so we moved forward. Now we are scared. We've got crazy neighbors across the street. We're not scared of making the move to Otter Creek. The Otter Creek move and the business plan has been phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. It's blown all my expectations out of the water.
Well, it's one of the reasons why I don't want to leave the schoolhouse.
It's incredible, okay? The location for what we do for business, the whole deal, everything. It's incredible.
It's awesome.
So for for Russ went, oh, well, Madam Mayor Teresa's stepping down. Russ had in his mind, which we know all of this because of foolishness of third-party communication being posted all over the internet. I mean, it's just, these people who think they're so dumb. Remember, birds of a feather will always flock together. Successful people hang out with successful people. I'm very picky who I hang out with. And I think it's funny that there are individuals who actually have something to say about who I do talk to, who I don't talk to. When I have legal things going on with individuals. When there are individuals who've been sent cease and desist, and yet they have yet to completely and totally cease and desist, and they have lawsuits coming for them. Things along those lines. So, you know, you have to be really careful who you hang out with. Especially, I was just watching a documentary on Netflix, 30 for 30, and it's all about these major athletes that come into all of this money, and then everybody is trying to drain them of their money, and then they go bankrupt. Like, they had millions upon millions upon millions of dollars. Do you understand that's the same thing LIEnette and CROOK had done? They went, oh, Jeremy Hales has money. I'm going to try and go get it from them. Do you have any concept how many people ask me for money on a daily basis? It is beyond mind-boggling to me what people will ask for. Ask me to buy them a new truck, ask me to pay off all their bills, ask me to buy them a house, ask. And I'm watching this Netflix documentary and I'm going, holy cow, I am living the life of an athlete, except I'm not an athlete. because I put my life out on YouTube. They're on TV, mine's on YouTube, and I'm going, oh my goodness, they're talking about the same things I go through on a daily basis. I couldn't believe it. And Bernie Kosar, one of my favorite Cleveland Browns, frankly, my favorite Cleveland Browns quarterback ever, he said the most relieving thing ever was when he filed bankruptcy, people stopped asking him for money. All right, so let's transition back into what's going on with Russ the Sus. Russ the Sus thinks Madam Mayor is now gone. Now, Russ the Sus thinks he's going to just insert himself into the position of mayor, to the point where Marla Hughes, enough has been said about her. She's a fool. That's really what she is. And says, you want to bet he'll be on the council? And yet, he's gone. And yet, she's been debunked again. Again. You would think she would just shut up. But nope, they don't. And so he wants to put himself in as mayor position, but he does not get to that point of mayor position. He is so confident. He is so cocky. He is so arrogant, which is very different than confidence, okay? So keep in mind, cockiness and confidence are two different things. There are people, and a lot of people, that say Jeremy's extremely arrogant and cocky. Well, I think they misunderstand confidence and success for arrogant and cockiness. Now, I know when I'm being arrogant and cocky. It's an internal thing. I absolutely know. And I don't like that about me when I get there. And it's seldom that I get there, but I will get there. Now, I will get there with sarcasm, and I think it's funny because then it's about the jokes. But there's a big difference between success and confidence, cockiness and arrogance, okay? And Russ thought he was just going to walk in and get it all. And he tried to play all these games behind the scenes. Now, all this communication in these games behind the scenes, they got moles. It all came back. And frankly, it came back to me. And it came back to others. It was really easy to outplay him and outmaneuver him at that point. So he was so arrogant. He thought he was just going to take the mayorship, wasn't going to have to fill out any of the forms, wasn't going to have to do anything. And he still, to this day, hasn't filled out the forms. And here's the funny part of it. And I even, tongue-in-cheek, don't even want to mention it because I want to see what happens if I don't mention it, but I'm going to mention it anyway. He still legally has to fill it out. And if he doesn't, June 1st, fines start. June 1st, he starts getting fined, and then it accumulates. June 2nd, and accumulates June 3rd, and accumulates June 4th, and accumulates June 5th. I can't wait to see all the fines that the state is going to slap on him because he still has done absolutely nothing. Next question. If Otter Creek has been fined without the council's monthly meetings these past few months, do you really need a town council? Perhaps it's time to unincorporate and turn it over to Levy County at long last. And I agree. It is proven there is no need for a town of less than 100 people, which keeps decreasing because those people holding on to all of their garbage, and I mean that, I literally mean that, garbage, for whatever reason, they hold on to this. It's a mental issue. I agree it's a mental issue for some people. And some people it's not a mental issue, it's just laziness. And so for some people it's a mental health issue. Some people it's complete and total laziness. Other people in Otter Creek, it's all about the rugs. They are addicted to rugs, okay? And you can formulate it, who's who and where's what and what the real issues are. And those people are passing away. I mean, they're passing away. And then these properties, they are then inherited by kids who want nothing to do with this place. You could talk to the parents, you could talk to the people and the residents of Otter Creek, which I'm telling you not to do. I'm saying if you could, do not do that. It is not appropriate. But if you could, they will tell you, my kids don't want anything to do with this place. They would never, ever, ever come back here. Ever.
So their kids broke the cycle.
Their kids are breaking the cycle and taking their families other places because Otter Creek is toxic for families. And that makes you wonder, why again did LIEnette and Crook show up here with a life-threatening metabolic disorder child? Because they're stalkers. Donald wants to know, if nobody's going to Otter Creek, then why 3 bed and breakfasts? Okay, Donald. Well, it just so happens that people are coming to Otter Creek, aren't they? As a matter of fact, Donald, you're coming to Otter Creek. You literally are watching it. You're captivated by it. You want more of it, and the planet wants more of it. And what do I want? To stop. I want it all to stop. I want council meetings to be fair and just and normal, not dysfunctional. And so the aspect of nobody is coming to Otter Creek for a wedding. Who in their right mind is going to come to Otter Creek for a wedding? I mean, this is just individuals who are literally say, oh, you could rent out the new community center for a wedding. How foolish is that? What bride wants to get married surrounded in a town by people's garbage? Don the Con, Mary Mary, Russ the Sus. What bride wants to get married with Russ the Sus creeping by at 5 miles an hour? Constantly, back and forth, back and forth. What bride wants to get married with Crook yelling obscenities and vile things? LIEnette stalking them, trying to crash the party. I'm just allegedly saying what would probably happen.
Calling the
Be
law.
screaming and yelling, and the constant dogs that are everywhere biting the guest. I mean, how foolish is this? For people to even say, oh, we're going to do a family reunion, people are going to come there, they're going to rent it out, they're going to do weddings. Nobody is going to do an event there unless the town of Otter Creek goes, oh, let's do a festival, we'll use this community center. Now, could it be in the future? Yeah, but that is way down the road. What do people come to Otter Creek for? Again, this is the difference between arrogance and confidence, okay? People come to Otter Creek because what the hell is in Otter Creek?
They want to see if it's real.
Okay? So I'm just speaking real talk right here. I'm a businessman. I understand that people are coming to Otter Creek because Florida's a vacation destination. Otter Creek has never been a vacation destination, but What the Hales is a vacation destination. People want to see What the Hales. People constantly come to the properties, honking their horn, trying to get an autograph, trying to get a selfie, trying to get a picture, to the point where I have to lock. I literally have just locked all my gates, paid thousands of dollars to lock my gates because people were opening the gates and coming in. People come to Otter Creek not for Otter Creek. They come to Otter Creek because of What the Hales. Now, if I have bed and breakfast and they want to come to Otter Creek, they can rent the bed and breakfast and get the full Otter Creek experience and probably see What the Hales. That's the draw to Otter Creek right now. I can't think of anything else because it sure isn't a turtle rescue. Judy wants to know about the water. If approved, when will we actually get safe drinking water? Well, it's a process right now. You hear the word Wakasasa, which I love saying. Waka, 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 Wakasasa. So the Wakasasa Water Authority, District, Management, whatever it is, they're working on getting this pipeline through grants. This money doesn't exist. We're talking not just a million. We're talking tens of millions and millions of dollars to get a water pipeline from Bronson to Cedar Key. And even Bronson, they have clean water issues. It was just on the Facebook pages the other day. People are crying about the gray water coming out of their out of their faucets. And I'm sitting there thinking, gray water, man, that would be good for Otter Creek. That'd be a step up. So once all the money is there, construction can start. And you understand, putting in a giant pipeline and then also wanting to put sewer in at the same time. Because what's happening over in Cedar Key, which is right on the Gulf, sewer is seeping into the Gulf. Now we know that's pollution. That's not good. That's not healthy for wildlife or for the human, right? Because the humans are going out and catching the wildlife and eating it. I don't think we want to eat what just came out of our backside. But I know you're talking about LIEnette and Crook, and they want to put all of their own feces and eat. I get it. I've seen all the posts. I've read everything. I have all the receipts, and I can prove everything that I'm saying right now. So LIEnette and Crook are not the normal by any stretch of the imagination. All of that septic needs to be pumped to where it can be treated in Bronson. And it just so happens that Otter Creek's on the way there. So you're going to tie in no matter what, because all of this money is grant money tying it in. And we happen to be the incorporated town. But there's plenty others. Rosewood, famous Rosewood. You know Rosewood because of the movie. And what happened in Rosewood was horrific. And it is just absolutely horrific. And that mentality still exists in this area today. It's horrible. It's literally horrible. I don't understand it. I can't fathom it. Is it because I lived in the north? I don't know. Is it because I love Jesus and God created us all in his image and therefore we celebrate each other? Whatever you want to say, I do not agree with the mentality down here at all. But Rosewood's not incorporated. They're going to all get tied in. All the residents there are going to get tied in as well. But it's going to take money and it takes time. All that construction, that could be 2 years, 3 years. I mean, literally when they tell you, oh, well, we'll have this done in 2 years. I mean, you can guarantee it's going to be 5. Vault of BS says, you think Not for Mott is a little puppet for Russ the Sus? Literally, you think Laura Not for Mott isn't a puppet for Russell the Kickback Hustle. I guess you said it a little bit different. And then goes on to say, I'm more than certain she is. There is no doubt whatsoever Laura Mott, or Not for Mott, has been used by Russell to accomplish what he wanted to accomplish in his good old boy network. Now, whether she was knowledgeable of how she was being used, and frankly, I can't attest to whether she was or not. I don't think she has the intelligence, to be honest. That's my opinion. I don't think she has the intelligence to know if somebody's manipulating her, using her. It's just not there. She's not all there upstairs. And again, that's my opinion, and that's protected speech. And she can say, I hate Jeremy Hales. That's great. That's her opinion. That's protected speech. So that'd be fine. I'm okay with that. And maybe somewhere down the road, she won't hate Jeremy Hales. And maybe somewhere down the road, I'll go, man, she's really intelligent. But at this point, here's what I know. Russell has used her to illegally put in an ordinance about water that targeted me specifically. And right now, at this moment, if I wanted to file suit against this town and take literally every last penny they have, I could, because of her, because of Russell. But I have decided not to, because Russell is gone, and we'll see what Laura does. We'll see if she actually makes a change. We'll see if there's any good in her. We'll see if she's not trying to do things behind the scenes. Now, I happen to have a little bit more information than I'm always sharing. So what I mean by that, there are cards that I hold to my chest and there are cards that I share out. And there is purpose and intention why I share different things and why I don't share other things. And I do know there's some things she's involved in that's not being clearly communicated. And so at this point, no, I don't trust her. But I'm going to give her the opportunity. I didn't trust Mary either. If you recall, when Mary was stealing from me under the guidance of Russ the Sus, I told Mary in that video that nobody would ever see the video because she said she would correct it. And then I went back to Ohio, and then they passed this illegal resolution that literally targeted me, which is why it's illegal. You get it, right? And then I went to her again, do the right thing, stop doing this, do the right thing, stop doing this. And then I went, you know what? Years later, I went, no, I'm sharing it all. How many years of patience did I give that woman for her to do the right thing? And me going, well, I think she will. And that's part of my DNA. And George has to course correct me on it a lot, because I will implicitly trust somebody and then they'll do me dirty. And then I'll implicitly trust them again. And then they'll do me dirty. And then I'll implicitly trust them again. And then they'll do me dirty. And then I'll implicitly trust them again. That's part of one of the blessings of my DNA and wiring and personality that God gave me, and one of the curses of my personality and wiring that God gave me. So this time I'm trying not to sit there and go, she already did me dirty. I already know she did. She put in, literally, I could take every last penny this town has because of her. And I'm choosing not to, because that's who I am. But I'm also not going, oh, well, I'm going to trust her again. I'm not going to get done dirty again. Anything goes off or astray, I'm going to move forward. Angie Hay, Family Adventures, wants to know, can anything be done to Russ the Sus, Don the Con, for intentionally disrupting, blocking the meetings? So, good question, Angie, and we've gotten to meet Angie before, and that's been a ton of fun. But Angie, you have to understand that some of the things that Russ and Don did in the meeting was intentional in regards to blocking. You remember the February meeting? They show up to the meeting, they get their checks, they walk out of the meeting on purpose so that nothing can move forward, right? That was their intention. That was their goal. They wanted nothing to happen. And so they walked out so nothing could. So, can anything be done about that? Well, you have to look at it as a chess game again. Because the law, whether you want to believe this or not, the law and court and government and politics. It's all one giant chessboard. And who can outmaneuver the other person within the realms of the law? Now, it's individuals like Russell and Don who love to break the law and then call others criminals when I'm literally exposing Don and his wife for all the corrupt things and all the theft they did of the people and the residents of Otter Creek. And Don the Con has the audacity to tell the lawyer that he wanted that she's a criminal. Mind-blowing, literally mind-blowing, right? But keep in mind, them walking out of the meeting to block any voting is the same as our politicians in at the federal level who, what do they call it when they read nonstop? They take up all this time and they read. Is that called filibuster? I'm trying to remember. I'm not into politics at all. I have never been into politics. I don't care about politics. What I cared about is what the wrong was being done to the people of Otter Creek here. And it's the only reason why I'm involved. I'm not involved in any type of politics at Hale's headquarters in the village there either, and nor do I want to be involved. I want to be involved with families and friends and the community, but not the politics part of it. So this happens on a federal level as well. They will try and waste time. They will try and block votes. They will try. Well, what was that dude? He just got busted for pulling a fire alarm. The dude was literally, I think it was a Democrat. And don't put stuff in the chat about Democrat and Republican, because that does not fly with us. This is not about politics. This is not about, are you Democrat, are you Republican? This is not about, well, I'm for this person, I'm against that person on the national level. And so all of that just goes to the wayside anyway. It gets wiped out from the comments. So YouTube has automatic blocking features, which just blocks it all out. So don't do it, because it's not going to go anywhere anyway. But you understand that this happens all the time. One person trying to block the other person, trying to block the other person. Now, where they can get in trouble is ethics. So Florida does have ethics. Now, as I've already shown in the past, and I did this in a meme, not in a video, is that even Russ the Suss's son got busted for Form 6 ethic violations, as did others on the Levy County Commissioners. And what happened to them? Nothing. But Russ is in a bit more trouble with the ethics. Using your power of mayorship, if there is any real power, to get adult favors, that's pretty huge. You know, like Bill Clinton, huge. Jack's mom wants to know, are these council members ready to actually represent all the residents of Otter Creek instead of padding select individuals' pockets and pushing agendas that are only good for one or two people? Jack's mom, what a question. What a question. So keeping in mind that let's tackle this aspect of residents, because there are haters out there that go, Jeremy Hales isn't a resident of Otter Creek. And then if I say I'm a resident, then these same haters will go, well, Jeremy says he's a resident of Otter Creek, therefore he can't file in federal court against LIEnette and CROOK. Obviously, I can file in federal court against LIEnette and CROOK because there's an entire case moving forward, and anything they have said has been dismissed and set to the wayside because it's fraudulent. So I am a resident of Otter Creek. Residency is ownership and paying taxes, okay? We're not talking about residency where my federal taxes are taken from, where I vote for the president of the United States. There's a different definition. I can own property in other countries, and I'm still paying into the system. I still have ownership. So there are many who own property in Otter Creek who don't live in Otter Creek. There are many who own property in Otter Creek who are never in Otter Creek, not one day out of a given year. Are they represented by these people? They sure should be. Absolutely. Every single property owner, taxpayer. And you're going, well, Jeremy, LIEnette and CROOK don't pay their taxes. Well, the good news is they have publicly broadcasted that they did. Now, remember I talked about some things I share, some things I don't share, and I share it intentionally and on purpose. And there are those who are going, Jeremy, no, you shouldn't have shared it. You should have bought, you should have paid their taxes. No, you don't understand the long game. You don't understand the chess game. I wanted it broadcasted. I wanted it posted. I wanted them to waste that money in the taxes so I don't have to pay it later when I get it with a federal settlement. And so, boom, I just saved myself some money. And all the fools that keep sending them money, that's more money that I get in the federal settlement. They can't claim, oh, we're bankrupt, oh, we got nothing. So if Patty and Paul And all these other fools want to keep sending them money for court fees. Hey, that's great, because that means they're not selling off the Jeep. That means I will get that in the federal settlement, and then I'll be able to sell it off. Or the camper, which means I'll get that as well, be able to sell that off. Wait, what else do they have? The shed!
What about the camper he paid $1 for?
Yeah, that camper for $1,
The
which I will
fifth-wheeler.
receive in the federal settlement. The shed. Oh, the shed. Oh, George, something tells me we are going to have to invest in a lot of Clorox. A lot of Clorox before we do some reselling over there.
Lysol.
But, okay, so, Jack's mom. Do or are they ready to represent everybody? Well, it's very evident that Don isn't. Don has told me multiple times on camera, if you want to go back through the playlist, that he does not represent me. And that's odd, because I am a landowner and a taxpayer, one of the highest taxpayers, if not the highest taxpayer, in all of Otter Creek. So to say that he doesn't represent me is quite foolish. Now, I want to be clear as well. Just because I pay more taxes than, say, another individual, for example, I'm going to use Don and Rosemary as an example, Don the Con. I already tell you, they don't pay taxes. Their value is not, they get a homestead tax relief, and their value of their property, they don't pay taxes. Okay, so Don doesn't pay taxes, Rosemary doesn't pay taxes. Does Don represent Rosemary? I mean, here I am, one of the highest, if not the highest, taxpayer in all of Otter Creek. Should I have favor? Absolutely not. There should be no favoritism towards me versus Rosemary, who pays nothing. I hope you understand where I'm going, because I think that's where Jack's mom is going. She's saying, are they ready to represent everybody? No matter an agenda, no matter, if they want to do something with their property, my goodness, go and you have freedom to do those things within the law. I don't care what Don does within the law. I don't care what Russ does within the law, and nor should they care what I do within the law. Individuals shouldn't care that Vice Mayor Zim, is building a RV resort. I mean, this is an incredible thing to generate income for Otter Creek, and it's within the law. But neighbors such as the Strongs want to create a problem and complain about it. Well, what's Zim complaining about their property? He's not. Who cares if it's within the law? Represent everybody. No matter who you are, represent everybody. If it's in the law, then go ahead and do it. You don't have to call the law like LIEnette and Crook constantly do. You just do things properly within the law. Now, let's take, for example, LIEnette and Crook. They currently have an illegal reptile farm. Okay? That's not allowed. They cannot be, by county statutes, they cannot be within so many miles of a resident. They have residents all around them. They have 1.66 acres. Now, they have a neighbor, me, across the street with 70 plus acres now. They also have Gail across the street. She has an acre. Michael, or maybe she has half an acre. Michael has half an acre. Susie has half an acre or an acre. Brian and Tina have an acre or half an acre. Another fellow who I haven't met yet has way less than half an acre. I don't know how much, but you see what my point is. It's illegal. So what are they doing? You would think the new council would come in and go, listen, this whole thing is illegal. This needs to go immediately, because we're thinking about all the residents, not doing one thing for LIEnette and Crook, because they'll call every agency on them. They'll call the law every time. They'll write stupid letters with misspellings and grammar issues and no punctuation to the ethics committee, which is all false and it's all lies, like they did on Madam Mayor. And Crook then telling a judge that, isn't this true that you have me in court because I filed an ethics complaint where you're mentioned in 4 points? No, they're in court because what they did was illegal, and they're being held accountable for it, like everybody should. But wouldn't it be nice if Otter Creek, there was no illegal activity going on, all the rugs was cleaned up, and people and families could live peacefully and not have to go to a town council meeting where all the fighting, all the arguments happen?